guys, welcome to Zoe's Fancy Cakes. I'm Zoe and today is just a really quick video for you. Something that a lot of people keep asking on the videos is what's my buttercream recipe, how do you make buttercream? And it doesn't take long, it's nice and easy to do, so I thought I'd show you how I make mine. I'm just gonna make a pretty standard buttercream. Now, I never know whether it's called like an English buttercream, American buttercream. I just know it's not like a Swiss buttercream or anything like that, so I'm going with the easiest option. It's a fairly firm buttercream as well, and it's the one that I tend to use. Although I don't do a huge amount of buttercream work on my cakes, something that going forward I would like to start doing more of, and then maybe I could start making different types of buttercream as well. So I am going to be using my mixer. It doesn't matter if you don't have the same mixer, but buttercream is definitely easier if you've got a mixer. You can have a handheld mixer, an electric one is definitely better though, especially when we're whipping up the butter.
So for mine, I made the mistake of putting the butter in a bit cold, so don't put it straight in from the fridge, guys. I'm actually using salted butter. Mine comes in blocks of 250 grams, so for one quantities or one batch worth of buttercream, I'm going to use 250 grams. So you can see, in this first attempt, it was a little bit too cold. That's me being impatient. I really should have just let it go to room temperature. So I actually doubled up my mix, so now there's 500 grams of butter in there altogether. So I'm going to make double the amount of buttercream that I was planning on. But that second batch, I have actually microwaved the buttercream just a little bit, so it's a little bit softer, so it's going to make it that bit easier for me to mix in the mixer. And you will have to just keep scraping the bowl as well to make sure that all the butter is getting mixed. You don't have to use salted butter like me if you don't want to. I just find if I use salted butter, it makes the buttercream slightly less sweet, and I prefer that. So you're going to keep mixing it for quite a while. You could probably leave your mixer running for 5 minutes, just whipping it up. You want the butter to be really quite light in colour. So mine started quite yellow, and by the time it's had long enough to mix, it's going to be pretty white in colour. Not fully white though, just slightly white. Whiter than it started. Get it as white as you can, guys.
So when you are mixing yours, guys, you might find like you have different attachments. There's a paddle attachment and the whisking attachment. Now, I make the buttercream and so does Richard. Richard's actually better at making buttercream than I am, so Richard's my other half that works here with me. Richard tends to use the whisk attachment. I prefer the paddle attachment. Now, what's the difference? It actually whisks up, the butter whisks up better with that, but it's going to incorporate a bit more air. So your buttercream is going to have a lot more air bubbles, and you'll see that even with this one, I can't get rid of all the air bubbles in mine. Like I say, I do still need to perfect my buttercreaming skills on the cake, but I am going to be using the paddle mix, or I have used the paddle mix.
Okay, so once you have whisked that butter up enough, you're going to add your icing sugar, or powdered sugar, I think it might be called in the US. Now you can also add some vegetable shortening if you want. I believe in America it's known as Crisco. It is slightly different, but it's still a vegetable shortening is this one. This one's called Trex that I'm using. I've put like a good couple of tablespoons worth in there. And I'm also putting in, I started with a few drops of water, but I ended up pouring in, I would say maybe 100 ml. But put in a little bit at a time, that's fine. And I'm just gonna mix it up. So you can see it's all taken off the whisk, and I'm just mixing it in by hand at first. And then Richard decided he was going to take over because he's better at mixing apparently than I am. Hence my hand looking slightly different in that shot. It's then going back onto the mixer again because it is easier to mix it with the mixer. It's just at first the icing sugar kind of goes out everywhere when the mixer's on. So yeah, do it by hand at first and then back in the mixer. And you want to do it till it's nice and smooth, all nicely incorporated, but don't over mix, otherwise it will go really grainy, which it happens to me quite a bit. Like I say, I'm not very good with buttercream. And of course then you can use your buttercream for whatever you want on your cakes or your cupcakes. And you'll notice I didn't add vanilla flavouring. I actually just completely forgot, but that's fine. I actually don't mind it without, but you can obviously put some vanilla essence or vanilla bean pods and stuff into there. I'm going to be using this for practicing some piping work. So you can use this buttercream then for piping, just for covering your cakes, even on your cupcakes. It does keep a while as well. You can freeze it if you want to, if you don't want to use it straight away. If I don't use the whole batch straight away, I try and use it within a couple of weeks. I don't like to leave it any longer than that. So you can colour your buttercream, guys, but don't forget, because it's not pure white, it might affect the colour you put in a little bit. So for example, sometimes if I try red, it goes slightly kind of orangey red. So the whiter you can get your buttercream to start with, the better the final colour is going to end up, and you can use different whiteners to actually whiten your buttercream further as well. But check in your country which ones are allowed, as some of them contain titanium dioxide, which at the moment is allowed in the UK. I don't think it is in other countries in Europe, but check in your own country what is and isn't allowed before putting anything into food.
So for the colouring, guys, you can use a range of different food colours. I don't mind it, mine are a bit mucky looking. So the colour mill, which you'll just see me put in, that's like an oil-based one, which is great in anything that's oil-based, so buttercream. But also you can use your gel colours. So the Pro Gel squeezy ones are really good for it. So are the fractal ones, so are the sugar flare ones. Obviously you can use different colours to what I've got. You can use different brands, but there's a lot of different colours that work quite well within your buttercreams. To see what I've been using that buttercream for, keep an eye out for the next few weeks worth of tutorials, and you should be seeing a little bit more buttercream featured in some of those cakes. So that's it, nice and simple for the buttercream. I'm hoping to do some more videos using buttercream because I know I mainly work in fondant, but let me know, guys, what you think. Do you prefer the work in fondant, where I'm doing sort of more character cakes, more sculpted cakes, because sometimes you have to cover them in fondant? It's very difficult to do them in buttercream. Or would you like to see me do a bit more of a modern take on cakes? And I know that buttercream is used a lot more now in modern cakes, so is that something you want to see me do more of? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you again for watching. Don't forget to click subscribe and like for more videos like this one, and I'll see you next time. Ooh.